go find the Lich.
And Circle knows
He
where the
has
Lich.
not approached us about going to kill the Lich yet.
Yeah.
So, I got a simple question because I think
Really need more magic items before last fight because I still have like 40,000 gold that I've used.
True.
So I have a shield, and I need to sell it somewhere.
I don't have a single magical item that is really like useful in combat for me.
I got a simple question for my good people of you. Because you're all level 17 now.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of need the intelligence. I kind of need the my people.
The info dome.
Change as 17?
Yeah, you're all 17. I told you last session.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's your now AC, HP? Let's go.
Let me see.
Okay, let's start with.
I got mine.
Okay,
AC.
Let's go with you then. Let's go.
AC is 18. HP is 175.
175.
I feel like it should be higher, but I don't know the calculations.
Armor class should be 14.
What do you have it on?
Okay. Who's
17. Right, I have a nice level spell now.
So
I believe my new HP is 187.
Okay, 187. Let's go.
Nice.
87 and
I don't think anything else has changed.
AC 14 still.
AC 14 still.
Cool. And for Grizzy,
HP 294.
294. Nice. And
AC should be unchanged at a crisp round 30.
Let's go.
+6. Right.
So, session 22. You lost the person that the campaign is named after, but you will persevere, most likely. I don't know.
Are we done? Should we leave?
Yeah.
We finished the campaign.
If it's over, lads, let's go. Oh.
Yeah. The one who hired
Establish
us.
that info network.
The one who hired us has left. We get no money, more money. Should we just leave?
No, you still got stuff to do. So, I guess since levels are done, and I guess I just gotta ask one simple question for all of you. Are you ready to begin, or?
Yeah.
Y'all ready for this?
I am prepared.
I'm ill. Why is that so unenergetic? What's your excuse?
My throat's hurting a little bit.
Excuses.
For the past week or so.
Excuses. Yeah. Stop. Stop going down to the Marines and servicing the Marines. You have a better throat.
It's 6 a.m. over here, guys. I only woke up an hour ago.
God damn it.
That's early.
Okay, but hypothetically, we could just keep giving you stick for nothing. Anyway.
Yeah. So last we left off, you made your way back from the Astral Sea, chilled for the evening, and had a long rest in Knife's mansion, and then essentially called upon Zircon to figure out what he's been up to and what to do. And he kind of very nonchalantly just told that he was kind of battling Mary, Free's ex-wife, you could say. And I guess the plan was concocted of Griselda being distraction, Ira the healer, Hodard is, I guess, accompanying Free, while Free tries to convince Mary to just drop everything and leave.
The word plan is a compliment.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you were teleported by Zircon somewhere near a pit that had a bunch of heavily dressed, very well equipped fanatics, 4 massive Baylors, and in the center of it, on the pile of broken construct bodies, stood a archdemon, or I guess set upon the throne. Griselda wore the distraction perfectly, taking 9 massive bolts through her body and living because of just by the skin of her.
Don't die.
True. Does not die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't do that shit.
And of course, then, while the distraction worked, Free kind of came up closer to Mary and had a bit of a talk. Some tense moments later, and Griselda stabilized by Ira, Mary decided to, I guess, drop what she was planning to do and embrace Free once again, turning back to her original tiefling form. Getting stabbed by Hodar's blade, where Hodar saw visions of the past, I guess almost the entire life of Mary before acquiring the knowledge, and Free with Mary escaping to somewhere unknown. And then there was only 3 of you. Not really knowing what to do with a bunch of people who are regaining sentience and then trying to figure out where the fuck they are, having no recollections of their past memories. And yeah, you met Zircon, who gave you a key close to the library. And Griselda, you pissed him off very much.
You know it.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I got something to do, so give me a second.
Free time.
There's only 2 outcomes for Griselda. Either she dies or she doesn't die.
Snape. Severus Snape.
Hermione.
Snape. Severus Snape. Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. Yeah.
Severus Snape.
Is that just a Harry Potter version of Badger?
Harry Potter. Ooh, Harry Potter.
Harry. Snape. Dumbledore. Singing our song all day long at Hogwarts. I found the source of the ticking. It's a pipe bomb. Yay!
Oh yes, a classic.
And then you get the Voldemort. Ooh, Voldemort.
I am so sorry. I had a large knocking at my door. So, that's
was it a tree?
He's lying. He just had to take a massive shit.
Shift or plane shift.
It was the end.
Later. You all manifested somewhere in the Feywild, and Hodar, I would like you to roll me a D100, if you will.
Okay. Have a tuning fork. Does that help?
Oh yeah, it does, but just roll me anyway.
Location.
Okay.
Best music.
So, one teleportation later, you're all kind of plopped on the warm, grassy plains. Somewhere in a hovel, surrounded by massive 100-foot tall trees in a very thick forest. Hodart, you don't know exactly the specific place, but you recognize the trees as you've been through these countless of times. You know somewhere around lies, I guess, a hovel, a village of sorts, of your fellow kin. And not too far away from there also is the Great Library. So, with that being said, what does everybody like to do?
Well, first,
Your agriculture's out of control.
oh, nah, we just like to keep it that way. Anyways, welcome to my to the Feywild. I'll give you the tour later. Right now, the library is in that direction. Come on, no time to waste.
Ira looks around. That's test.
Mm-hmm.
It's a calming place.
I don't like it.
Playing at the
Smells it's a bit too fruity.
I mean, a lot of wildflowers, tall grasses, very massive, very large and tall trees, teeming with life, from tiny insects to birds to birds.
The nice birds.
Yeah, they all seem to be same, almost like equivalent of the mortal plane, but a lot more fancier, having more illustrious, more colorful, and more refined feathers than the ones that you're familiar in the mortal plane. So, I'm gonna try to just head towards the library or somewhere else.
The library.
Okay. I would just like you to roll me just a simple history check. This is a with advantage. Ah. So
Would be 27.
So, Hodard, you almost naturally and instinctually know this place. You don't know, well, it's just a random patch of forest, but you feel and you remember countless of times just going through all times since you were just a tiny owlkin to, up this day. For the rest of you, Iron Griselda, it looks like for a good few minutes, it just feels like Hodar is just going almost in circles, going from one tree to another tree, and you're just kind of following him. And like good 5 minutes pass, and you kind of think that you're just kind of lost, and Hodar is just like mindlessly toiling with you, not knowing where to go. But then all of a sudden, the tree line ends. As you see not familiar for both of you, but for Hodart, a familiar, large, grayish stone library about a mile or so away. Just kind of looms there, kind of in this forest, like thick forest and just one massive building of stone. For the rest of you, it looks relatively impressive. The structure seems to be a few hundred feet wide and maybe 100 or so feet tall, and you don't see the other side of it. Additionally, you see relatively a lot of people like Hodart, Alkin, similarly dressed, while some mostly idling, minding their own business on the treetops, on the surrounding vicinity, but not from the way you came from. It's relatively peaceful, no signs of conflict, trouble, or anything like that. a very simple way to just go there. How would you like to proceed?
He lets lets out a big. It's nice to be back. And it's like, come on. See if I can let you guys in for a quick peek. He's gonna rush up to the door.
Griselda has like a semi-permanent grimace on their face. As they sort of look around. Why is it always forests?
I said like a small smile. Still looking a bit sad. Like looking around, studying the surroundings and looking at the building.
There's only... Okay, for Griselda and Ira, roll me a perception check. For Hodart, if you wish, roll me with advantage.
Oh, natural one.
Lots of big humanoid burbs.
Yeah. Big forest.
Oh my god. Yeah. Ira, Griselda. For Ira, it's too beautiful. For Griselda, it's too many targets in the local vicinity. You both can see that there's like I guess Hodart kin, if you even can call them.
Hodart kin.
No, like
the owlkin.
Yeah, the owlkin. I know, but like they're mostly on the treetops. They're just kind of idling and just mind their own business. You don't know if it's, you don't find anything odd about them. Of course, for Griselda, it's probably just infuriating because you're high up, few dozen feet up in the sky. But for Ken, or Hodart. Also, I have said Hodart's skin as in like something familiar to Hodart. Yeah. Maybe family members, who knows?
It's that S.
Yes. So, as for Hodart, you know that usually there's relatively close. There's like a village. It does not even have a name because it's less of a village, more like a gathering of the surrounding trees where your kin kind of make nestings and essentially live their lives with almost free care, and only those who are kind of serious what they do try to go and become proxies. One of them is, of course, you. You kind of look around the tree line and you look at the library. You can see there's a handful of proxies similar as you, but also seem to include a few elves and a gnoll, as they're kind of just chatting up, similarly dressed as you, with the from the garbs to the hat, and the owlkin on the tree lines. It is very unusual for this many to be just in this vicinity, and they seem to be all kind of looking in your direction. Not the ones that are small and different, the adult ones. They're kind of all just spectate you as you're crossing this field. No signs of hostilities or ill intent, but it's just still unusual, to say the very least.
Interesting. He's gonna keep that in the back of his head as he moves towards the main entrance.
Mm-hmm. So,
and
if Griselda and Ira do not have any comments, say no or for
Hodart, is this your home?
Well, for that particular part of my life, yes. This has This is where I studied and became a proxy of
Daenerys.
Anir
Here.
and all that. This is also the library where Zircon decided to show his face and bring me to your world.
It's not very leg friendly, is it?
It's got a little bit of access, but yes, mostly we keep to the trees.
Great.
It reminds me a bit about a journey I've had of my own. Yeah.
What, does Zircon come to you randomly?
No, it was before all of this happened. I had a year in seclusion in a forest, not like this, maybe a bit smaller, not as tall. It's where I learned a lot of my herbalist knowledge.
It looks like they're looking for a bed. And they go, do all of you just like live in seclusion? I mean, Free lives on a mountain. You live by yourself for ages. You're in a different plane of existence.
Oh, I mean, as you can see, that there's plenty of others to keep us all to keep me company.
I guess. Sorry, everyone's just kind of strange.
For me, it was only a year. I studied under a great witch. Or at least she called herself a witch. It was sort of like a coming of age.
Makes sense, I guess.
So, in that case, takes you a good, a good 20 or so minutes just to a nice stroll. Nothing seems to bother you, nothing unusual. Very cool, nice weather. Kind of warm. Also, occasionally this chill across your spines as the wind blows. And about 100, 200 feet away from the actual entrance, the main entrance to the library, you can see that the gnolls and the gnoll and the owls are kind of almost like bickering, and all of a sudden you see the gnoll almost instinctually looks to his right and looks at all of you approaching, then kind of looks at the owls who seem kind of displeased, and you see almost like a low hiss from your location as he kind of hisses at the owls but slowly backs up and just kind of stands there crossed armed staring at the owls.
I'm a little bit a ways from them, right?
Yeah, about 120 feet or so. Okay. And of course approaching.
Yep, I'm just gonna keep that in mind until I get closer.
Okay, yeah. The owlkin seem to be expecting you. They kind of look at you as you approach. And as you approach, the doors of the library just kind of open up on their own with this loud, stony grind. And you see that Null is very displeased by this as he kind of loudly huffs in frustration.
This Null. This Null doesn't happen to have the hat on.
He is similarly dressed as you, but he does not have a hat.
Okay.
Your passive insight tells you he is becoming a proxy, but he is still not one.
Okay.
You see the owl just kind of look at the door, do not exchange any words with you unless you speak to them. And the two owls just kind of just stare at the gnoll, who's kind of stares back at them, and he looks frustrated. He looks like he wants to speak out, but he's keeping his mouth shut.
I'm going to exchange a formal greeting. Just a formal greeting, and then I'm also going to ask if these two, as I motion towards Grizz and Ira, be able to accompany me in the halls.
One of the owls just kind of nods and says, "Yes, you are expected."
All right.
You can hear the gritting of the teeth from the gnoll. He does not say anything, but you can hear his dislikeness towards you. More specifically towards Griselda and Ira, as his looks are mostly at them.
I just turned towards both Grizz and Ira. Said, "All right then. Time. Nope. Where did Grizz go?"
Well, up then vanished, I guess.
We'll give her a few.
Whoops. Yeah, and I will say, we aren't causing you trouble, are we?
No, you're not. But then, one of the owls just kind of looks at the gnoll. We are not keen on granting passage to the outsiders, but it is what Denier requested. And he kind of almost, and the owl, who seems like a lot older, and there's barely any, I guess, colored feathers. Most of them have grayed out, and he looks relatively a lot older than Hodar. And I suspect there will be no problems from our disciples. Is that right? And he kind of, as he speaks more loudly, and his gaze kind of shifts to the gnoll, who looks at the owl with a slight nod, but anger nonetheless in his eyes. Hello, Griselda. Welcome back.
Gives a small curtsy and says, "We will tread respectfully."
So, the older owl just kind of gives a hand motion towards the wide open door. Hodard knows the way. I was informed of it. So,
Give me a second. My mic stand fell over.
uh-oh.
Must be the work of an enemy stand.
Mic stand. My joy of stand is that it can record sounds.
All right, we're back.
Welcome back.
Give a nod and then motion towards both Grizz and Ira to come home, to come with.
Yeah,
and
we
then
will
we make
follow.
our way to the chamber.
Alright.
So,
Walk
as you,
forwards.
as you walk in, the door slowly but surely closes, with no rush behind you, and you're greeted with this cold interior of this library. You see a lot of it has been decimated and seems to be in kind of a ruin. Hodar, in your perspective, the library seems to be in less worse condition the first time you've been. Yes, there's still destroyed bookcases and furniture, and the pile of dust and sand is plentiful, but not as in much of a quantity as before. As you're walking towards the specific side of the building, you start to see every once in a while just an emerald manifestation just plops out of thin air and starts to either gather the dust as if like a tiny green vortex, or some appliances as in a broom or a scoop manifest and start to slowly but surely clean up the library from whatever it has befell it. And a good 5 minutes in, besides that iron result, you start to realize that in these large piles of dust and ash and mud, they're the constructs that you fought in the monastery that helped, or at least tried to help Father with whatever he tried to accomplish.
I just start like taking a more serious look around, creasing our eyebrows, almost like preparing or anticipating something.
I can see that you've noticed. We had some intruders, apparently, while we were gone. While I was gone.
Are they still here?
No, it was taken care of. And now it seems to be making its way to being back to normal as it was. It's definitely more so than when I last was here. Anyways,
How often do you get intruders?
what was that?
How often do you get intruders?
Not very often, to be completely honest.
In your whole lifetime, just a passive thing. In your whole lifetime, not a single time.
Yeah, not in my lifetime, that's for sure. This would be a first.
Oh. Interesting.
Quite.
Well, that's neither here nor there.
Well, anyways, shall we continue? We're almost there.
Please lead the way.
So, takes you a good few minutes walking through, and you made your way to a familiar corner, and it seems like a dead end, literally a corner of the library. But as Hodar approaches closer to the wall, a giant blaring eye manifests, kind of looks at him, and then a pathway manifests where the eye used to be, into a corridor filled with thousands, if not more, of candles that are all basically cycles of getting basically burnt, but all of them are lit as you slowly but surely making through the hallway. And for Hodart, the familiar view, and as for Hyra and Griselda, you see that you're very high up. To your right, you see massive waterfalls that seem to be going for miles, that seem to just go off the edge of the world and plummet towards something into nothingness. You seem to be in some sort of open garden or a study. As you see, there's countless of candles littered everywhere. A bunch of scrolls and tomes litter the floor. And you see a figure in white robes. A
Before we
face.
go any further, I'm going to pull Grizz aside and say, "Now, Grizz, this one is here to help us in our trials. Please do not try anything rash.
Xenoside
All right?
looks at you for a second, tilts the head to the side. What do you mean by that?
This is my god that I am a proxy of, and he's done nothing but help.
Oh!
He has done nothing but help us in our thing in our quest to save the universe. So please be on your best behavior."
How exactly are they a god, though? Just curious.
The god of knowledge.
So if you read enough books, you become a god?
Oh, it's a bit more complicated than that, but they can
Read
recall.
complicated books, you become a god.
Well, anyways, please try not to. Please try to be on your best behavior with him. We're here to give him information, and then he'll more than likely give us something that has to pertain with that information. So,
Alright. I will try my hardest. Sort of shakes her hand, sort of slaps her face. Okay. Not my monkey, not my circus. Not my monkey, not my circus. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, you see a large throne in the middle of this, I guess, open study, and you see this lean figure in white robes. His face should be visible, but all you can see is shadow if you peer into his face. He seems almost like attached to the throne, and you see he has these lanky, pale hands as he just kind of sits there. And even though he does not have an eyes or face, as you can see, you can clearly see that he is observing you, for you are in his presence.
Ira like bows down to like a almost prayer-like action. It doesn't know this god's ceremony. Just only like with parts small, general purpose prayer poses that then the commoner would know.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to roll a religion check.
Sure. +1.
+1.
No, it's actually +3 because I increased my wisdom.
Yeah, you have no clue what would be. You don't even know what the name of this god is.
Yeah, so she does the same as she would have done to like a religious ceremony for Shantia for the harvest season.
So, Griselda, anything? Any comments? Any sly remarks?
He's not kneeling.
Okay.
Or is she...
Alright. And as
Yeah,
for
she's just sat there. Well, not sat there, sorry. She's just standing there, just taking deep breaths.
and as for Hodart,
I am going to move forward, pulling out the blade, and then kneeling while having it in my hands, presenting the blade. And as I said, I'm going to say, Denier, God of Knowledge, I present you your knife, which contains the information that you seeked.
he kind of raises his left hand but does not even reach out, and all of a sudden the blade becomes almost like a pulling sensation from your claws as I guess you let go. Yeah, the blade kind of goes to his hand, but not quite. A good few inches starts to float as all of a sudden the the blade from the blade itself to the hilt just starts to disappear, and this green energy starts to kind of seep into his arm. And you see, I guess all of you can see, as the knife gets digested, you can see this bright, light green glare where you assume his eye sockets are, and you see 4 spots of it. So, yeah, as it kind of takes in the thing, it kind of twists his head towards you, Hodart. You done well. An adequate performance. With utmost haste as I requested.
Yes.
I see the fate of the Mary you all know. It will be interesting to watch over her, seeing how she will develop and if she will becomes a threat. But that's for another time.
I can say with full confidence that we have left her in the care of someone that I trust implicitly to keep her to keep her on the right path.
He kinda extends his hand towards you slightly, as is showing his palm. No need to tell me. I can hear her thoughts. I know how much she cares for the Harpy. Now, this is a very particular challenge that you delivered me. I know the task that is in front of you. And it's a lot more complicated. For you seek to arch Lich, this so-called Zircon's old acquaintance, master as he calls it.
It would be it would seem correct that this is my next course of action.
No, it is not. For you see, he kind of pauses, and there's almost like a grunting sound coming from the shadow. There's a particular hurdle that you brought in front of me. There is an individual that I recognize in Mary's visions. A powerful member of the Sealy Court. And if the memories of this individual are to be correct, he is currently working against the Sealy Court.
Thinks of Sack, like, did I see that? And then he remembers, like, oh yes, there is that. I did see him in passing.
I'm just gonna immediately write the name, so you don't need to know this. So, Zarach is a powerful archfey. He is a low-ranking member of the court, but is well received by all that serve the Feywild's king and queen. If truly these visions, these memories are correct, for I do not see why there would be some foul deception at play. We got a horrible problem that might threaten the Feywild. He kind of looks at all of you, and then looks at you, Griselda.
Oh no.
I know of your hatred, half-orc. So listen well of the next task I give you, and measure it carefully. For my pull on the court is not significant, but my words are always heard in the highest regard, for I do not fling accusations often. I will make you deliver a note to the Queen of the Feywild, Titania herself, of my perspective, of my angle to the situation, and the procedures that might need to overtake to eliminate this threat. A lot of questionings will be made. Something vile might happen, who knows? But the Sealy Court is a powerful entity, and even if one Archfey goes rogue, it will not stop its apprehension in the court itself. But then the Shade just kind of looks at you, Griselda. They're all gods there. Each and every one more powerful than the last. Do I need to make myself clear on why I'm speaking to you directly? The Undying?
Because that takes a deep breath. I you you can read minds, right?
Yes, but I already read my proxies, and I know how you have a disdain for gods.
Bit of an understatement. They don't deserve it. But looks over at Hodarth. I as long as no hostilities are provoked on my end, I have no reason. Sorry. I have no reason to be the aggressor.
Then be cautious. If the Archfey that you're gonna apprehend knows of your bad blood with whatever god you fell in. He kind of slightly shakes his head. He might use that against you, against all of you.
And if he provokes me, I'll just kill him.
I not know where you hail from, but in these lands, we do not kill just because of provocation.
Well, you wouldn't know that, Mr.
You were
Almighty
spared
above.
once. Do not take Oberon's chosen's act as mercy.
I'd say he more cheated, spared me, but sure, whatever.
Hodarth is sweating bullets right now.
Kinda looks at you.
Yeah.
Well, in that regard, go. Humor Oberon. Draw your blade against his presence and see how quickly your all being, soul and all, vanishes from existence.
I'm sure that's how you see it. Just an invasion of privacy, but yeah. Right, whatever.
At this point, yeah, Hodarth is shooting you the look.
Yeah, she sort of looks over, she sort of rolls her eyes. Yeah,
like-
whatever. I'll do my best to avoid Oberon.
And looks towards. Excuse me, sorry. Daenerys, and it's like, and I'll do my best to make sure that she behaves herself to the best of her abilities.
You can see the slight nod of the hooded figure.
I let out a large sigh.
There's a thought that
Your robot
Rand's
voicing right now.
Zelda's
Become robot.
head.
You be a robot. Lag.
Robot. Yeah. Let's hear it. Is it better now?
Now we cannot hear you at all.
Yeah.
Completely gone. I'm afraid.
Ooh. So much for technical difficulties. Oh god. Oh, hello.
What past your mind?
Oh,
Oh,
just you're back.
Say something. Say something.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Turkey. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good. I heard something about hair before. That was the only thing that I could hear from
Oh.
that.
No, a thought goes through her mind. This man is all-knowing and reads minds, so he knows exactly how to piss me off, and still said what he said.
So, as he kind of overlooks all of you, with his right hand, you see, he kind of extends out, and a sheet of paper just manifests. And as soon as it manifests, green jade ink starts to just embed itself into the paper before it gets scrolled, and a giant a green wax sigil just kind of plants itself. And then he kind of clutches the paper and kind of reach out with his hand towards you, Hodart.
I grab I grab it.
The passage to the courts. It will grant you an audience with the queen in front of an entire court. Your quarry most likely will be there as well. Do not. He looks at you, Griselda. Be provoked by petty provocations. Because I know all of you. And as he says that, he looks at Ira. Are capable of much more.
She lowers her gaze a bit.
He kind of nods, looks over you. You are now dismissed and you can go at your earliest convenience, but as before, Hodart, I advise haste. But before you leave, you may ask of me of what you wish. Since you're in my presence and all, might as well answer something that might be boggling your mind.
Ira will stand up from kneeling, like hesitantly look at Denier and say, Lord Denier, I apologize if you can think to answer, but I have a question which has been burning in my mind for a really long time.
If that's the case, then ask, child.
As a child, I always wondered where my power came from. And if it comes from a certain god or goddess. But as of yet I've not been able to figure that out. Would you, Lord, be able to enlighten me on what the source of my power is?
I can, as he kind of slightly extends his left hand. Close your eyes and think of the wind that is blowing. Are you gonna purposely fail a wisdom saving throw?
If that is required, yes, she would purposely fail.
Okay, so
Great, you now squirrel.
Power word non-existence.
As you close your eyes, the winds all of a sudden feels from like chilly cold to all of a sudden very harsh and hot. Your hands begin to swell, your face begins to kind of feel hot, and you feel your blood is rushing through your skin. You do not feel any sensation of pain, just quite a bit of uncomfortableness. For a split second, and all of a sudden, it all just fades away within seconds. As the end kind of slowly retracts, a gaze of the nearest slowly towards the hand. It kind of looks at you. I do know the answer. But before I do answer, what do you think? Do you suspect a particular being, an entity?
I've always had an affinity to life. I'm afraid I'm not too learned about the ways of the heavens. I do not have a guess in mind. And then she stops speaking.
Kind of looks away a bit. For the first time, you can see actually he's kind of looking at the waterfall that looks back at you. Back when you lived your first life, Lathander graced you with his gifts as a beacon of potential and hope. But then your life was cut short, and Lathander essentially understood the cycle of life and death, and slowly but surely forgotten about you. But then a new force, a new entity picked you up. An entity of guilt, sorrow, and a lot of frustrating anger. A very gifted sorcerer. The same one who plundered the library and took one of my proxies. The same one whom you saw in the cave alongside your father.
She will wryly smile, having her head down.
The sorcerer that you call Zircon is the one who offers you power, but not from himself. No. From that lantern of yours. His creation, no doubt. He kind of takes a deep breath and then looks at you, Griselda. Do you have anything you wish to ask? Grizzy, I hope you're not muted or the mic.
I was muted. I'm done.
Yeah.
She looks on for a bit. Sure. I mean, if anyone's going to have answers, it's you. I guess. The thing that took my hand, is it dead yet?
For that, I would need to peer into your mind to understand fully. But I can see how you recoil in disgust.
Gee, I wonder why.
Do you really wish to know?
I guess.
And close your eyes and listen to the wind. Are you gonna purposely fail? Okay. So, the same familiar thing of blood coursing through your veins, your hands becoming numb, your face becoming heated. the rushing, scalding winds eventually ceases to exist, and you're still looking back at the hand that is now just retracting.
Oh,
He kind of looks at his own hand for a bit and looks at you. You do not need to worry. The entity is dead.
you don't say.
Seeing that you asked the question to begin with showed some sort of doubt. Nevertheless, it will never come back again. Anything else?
What? Oh, sorry, go.
Ira looks at Hodrath, but otherwise she's finished. We've had questions.
Oh, I have a minor one. I have just a small one to ask. Will she ever notice me more to be more than just a friend, but a potential mate?
It kind of looks at you, Hodar, for a bit. At the moment, she is busy somewhere at the depths of a cave, hunting a specific task that she laid before herself. Eventually, she will grow tired of the life that she's currently living, and she will remember the memory she had in this place. Then she will remember you. And when she will return, she'll be looking for you. All you will need to do is to be in the right place at the right time.
And where might that be, and when?
In due time, you will understand it quite plainly, but up to this point, more grave matters await you all. Wonder about the peaceful life after the calamity is past. He kind of looks at you all one more time expectantly. Anything else you like to ask?
No, asking a god is disrespectful.
Only that I asked. Where? Uh, just the direction of the Sealy Court, so that we may get this
I would
task
say
done.
okay. Hodart, you know where Dunsilicorp is.
Okay, never mind.
You know, because just
Where's the nearest grocery shop to my house? Do you know that?
Jesus Christ. Okay, never mind then.
I love the fact that Lyra's like, okay, you answered a very specific question. I just answered a bunch of trivia. Yeah.
Yeah, Ira has too much reverence for deities to ask anything but the most important question.
Okay. Yeah. It's like no further questions. We will make our way to the Sealy Court post haste.
Okay. So just roll me a history check, Hodart. As you.
How dare you? I've got another question.
Okay. What's Grisella's question then?
Is there a time, my future, the gods are not influencing my life?
kind of looks at you. Yes, but that one will end in death.
Well, now I know you're talking poppycock.
Huh?
Well, now I know you're talking poppycock.
You've written your life away quite recently. Mere hours ago, in fact.
Hours ago? You mean when I got shot? No, I'm fine, see?
He
That looks
he
concerned.
kind of leans towards you, Griselda. I seen what the sorcerer can do, Griselda the Undying. And you're nothing compared to him and his power. He granted you a lot of leniency. But you threw the caution to the wind. And now you will receive the destiny that you're so desire. Yet deep down, you're afraid.
Afraid of what? Mods?
He does not answer.
Yeah, sod you then. We done here?
Yes. We should make to the Sealy Court post haste. Thank you for your time. And we shall not fail.
So yeah, history check holder, my boy. Holy shit, nice.
36?
Okay, so from the library to the Unseelie Core, they're still in the same plane, and it's called just the Sealie Court. There's no actual name of it. It's a massive palace of very nice marble and jade, where most powerful archfey, their subordinates, gather in behest of their leaders, the Oberon, the Beastmaster, and the Titania. You know, to get by flight, you could go from one point to another within like 3 days or so, just flying straight. Walking, you have no clue. You don't know how walking would, like, because you never walk. You can always just fly through the tree lines and the like, so you never really know how much it would take to just walk there. So, as you're
Would
all... Hmm?
we present this to them? Well, the good news is that I know where the Sealy Court is and how long it'll take us to get there. The bad news is that time is by flying. So we can either take the quick route or the scenic route.
I don't know how bad your eyes are, but I don't have wings. So unless you have a means of producing wings on me, we're walking.
I mean, I have quite a bit of means to get us from where we need to go, for the most part. There.
We have done this before.
I just thought I'd run it by you guys.
Oh, haste is the name, right? Old Big Brain in there
True.
said so.
True.
I am not afraid of flight, so I believe that is the best course of action.
All right, I've been wanting to try this one out then. You see start to see my. I'm going to use my wild shape, my new wild shape abilities.
Uh-huh.
And rather than a giant owl, before you stands an adult gold dragon.
Uh-huh.
Now,
What-
and you say, Hira, shall we?
Yeah.
Why are you so extra?
Yeah, you just see fucking Hodor's eyes just glow green all of a sudden with a plume of massive smoke. You see his form begins to become more scaly and massive, and just a dragon shows.
I recoils a bit. Like, okay. This will be
How
fine.
long? How long does that last?
It's as much as my druid shape, that's for sure.
How many
Did
druid
ask
shapes you
you?
get?
I have enough to probably get to 14 hours worth of flight
Wow. What a game.
before I have to start using polymorph.
Each short rest for 1 hour resets it all. Resets.
What was that?
Yeah,
I think
a short
wild
rest.
shape.
Yeah, a short rest resets wild shape. I think
Oh
so.
yeah, short rest does. Yeah, that's right.
So, I'm guessing flying. Okay, so flying golden dragon. Question for Hodart: you're going high, or you're going like a few hundred feet above ground? Few hundred feet, or like quarter, half mile
What do
high?
you guys think?
It depends. I was not afraid of height, so height could be good.
You should already know I'm not afraid of height.
I guess we're flying high then.
I'm straight.
Oh boy.
We can go twice as high.
I would like one of you to roll me a d10 as you're beginning your journey towards the Sealy core. Sealy core, sorry.
Go ahead, Griselda.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was gonna say. I would give Ira the honors, but if you insist,
Well, I never rolled the first time.
fair. 1.
Oh boy.
Were you honestly surprised?
Uh,
It's just the way it works, guys. It always has.
Also, I really like the previous thing. The
Okay.
accountability to God.
takes a few hours of just flying, and at this point you used 3 wild shape charges, Podart, and then in your head you just get a message from on a person you never heard from before.
You are
just-
entering our flying zone.
he
Please
just-
declare yourself or be shot out of
He
the
just
sky.
he just asks you, "What is your name, whelp?"
I was like, oh, Holdarth, proxy of Denier. I'm making my way to the Sealy court with. Yeah. With news.
Yeah. Okay, there's a pause. What kind of tidings are you bringing to the court?
I'd rather not discuss this until I get there. It is a matter of grave importance.
Persuasion check.
It's a matter from the near. That's pretty. Perception. Persuasion.
Yeah, persuasion. Let's go, gamer.
I wish you good luck.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
near perfect.
Okay. So, you all of a sudden, all of you hear a massive dragon's roar, and all of a sudden you're just basked in the shadow. As you look up, there's a giant green emerald dragon, like a good maybe like few hundred feet above you, and I would say maybe 4 to 6 times as large as Hodart's golden dragon. As Hodart, you 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 just immediately just realize that there's shadow, and you get a response. In that case, I will not disturb your business, but be wary. We do not like unknowns up in the sky. As you see the massive roar of a dragon, echoes as it immediately takes like a sharp right turn and away from you.
Duly noted. And he's gonna start listing further down, a little further down.
If no one says anything, there's
Apparently, we
always
didn't have air clearance.
Yeah, quite literally. But no one's did. Was this like a mental thing?
It was all a message. All you basically realized is, Holar's just flying, then kind of chills, and all of a sudden just a shadow manifests above you. You see a massive fucking dragon, and a few moments later it just takes a sharp right and flies away.
Yeah, Griselda
And we're
draws their
swinging
blade.
a little low. We're apparently they don't like unknowns in their skies.
Oh, yeah, a little bit lower perhaps. I don't mind heights. I don't mind fighting dragons, but fighting dragons at heights feels like a bit too much.
Yep.
So yeah. For Hodart, as you're realizing that you're kind of like, it's a very densely packed forest with these marble, like slightly bluish tinged trees very high up. They're just plentiful, but all of a sudden it slowly just starts to change into this more like rocky mountainous plains. All of a sudden, for Holdar with passive history check, right? You know that you're essentially exiting the borders of the library's forest. It's basically the forest where it's very peaceful and most of people are followers of the library, and it's relatively peaceful, no threats. Beyond it, where you're currently flying by, is the sunken depths. Why it's called that is because there's a theory that once this place was a massive, like, tall mountainscape, but Titania got very angry for some reason and decided to level everything to basically its normal, like what you see now, and the remnants of stones and rocks are basically what remains of the mighty rock top. And it's relatively dangerous to travel on ground because they're plentiful of earth elementals and other creatures of the depths that lurk in the vicinity below. But for you, flying high, relatively good. So, any comment from Hodart or Ira or Griselda of this change of scenery?
So, we have now exited the sanctity of the library. Just keep a weather eye out. We might have to come into some trouble
Is this
if
the
we're not
Feywild?
careful. Yes.
It's
Some
very
of the residents are more mischievous than others.
That's alright. They can get mischievous with the end of my blade.
Hey, Griselda, I think we should probably keep our weapons sheathed.
I mean, this place is the unsafe area, isn't it?
No.
Um,
You said we're outside the sanctity of your weird god person.
oh boy. So, with that, I would like one of you to roll me a d10 and a perception check from all of you.
My turn to roll D10.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Give me a second.
Dragon has the same perception as I do.
Gamer.
nice.
88. So yeah. In this part, the skyline becomes a lot more bluer, less light, more like deep blue, and about few hours and 3 more hours pass. You've seen countless of earth elementals below. You've seen large basilisks fighting each other. You've seen packs of what seem to be kobolds. They're just basically doing wars with each other or battling each other. And you've just seen a bunch of constructs and creatures made of stone seemingly just wandering these quite dangerous parts of the Feywild. As for all of you, the scenery is nice below. There's a lot of fighting going on, but and nothing really happens to none of you, except for the fact that it's getting darker. Sun is beginning to set on the Feywild, or at least this part of the Feywild. So with that, what would you like to do?
Leap in the air like an albatross.
If we tie your wings up, we can lock them. Just keep going. Genius, am I right?
Glide to infinity.
Yeah.
Well, he would like a break at some point.
We should probably find a place to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're gonna look to settle down somewhere in this place?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he also has...
And some food.
So, with your passive perceptions, you can see that there's like the tallest boulders or rocks are maybe 50, 60 feet wide and maybe 200 feet tall. Relatively large, and you see on the very tops it's pretty flat and seemingly no hostilities can be seen. Well, at the very ground level, you see quite a bit of, work of, people fighting each other and whatnot.
Just to be safe, Hodar's gonna play it safe and cast Druid Grove on the surrounding area.
Nice. A noticeable greenery. I'm just kidding.
So now we can have
The
more awakened trees.
yeah,
It's defenses.
yeah. So I mean, the general place, it seems like very high tall grass, like 6 or 7 feet tall. A lot of it has been trampled and destroyed. You can see some flowers with these bright bluish petals in the tall grass, just kind of slowly but surely begin to glow as the more and more the night takes over. So I'm guessing you're going on one of the flat surfaces by, or somewhere else maybe.
Somewhere close to the tree line.
There's no tree line anywhere.
There is none.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just plains and large stone formations.
Guess near one of the larger stone formations and do the Druid Grove there.
Okay.
There'll be I got the solid fog, grasping undergrowth. No, I can't do grove guardians. Son of a bitch.
Another final thing to think about. But do Griselda have any food? Or who don't have any food packed with them? Because
Well,
I do not. I have cooking supplies, but that is not rations. The person with rations just kind of disappeared.
Yeah. Hold up. You got any spells that can sustain one's body for a while? Remind some.
That is a very good question. I don't know. Can druids get that?
Can druids get Goodberry, the plant spell? Yes.
You might not have it prepared though, because druids prepare spells.
Oh, yeah.
What
Whereas
level spell is it?
First, I believe, or second.
Oh,
Yes.
That's level.
Do you have Goodberry? Level 17. Forgot to get rations.
Forgot it's still the same day as we left. Free. We have to pick up.
Yeah, you still eat this for today, but tomorrow you gotta need to look for food.
Yeah. How late is it? Was it just started to get dark? You said.
You don't know how the time goes in the Feywild. For Hodok's perspective, you know that you have like at least 2 hours of like time before the remnants of the sun essentially vanish and all you're left with a very clear sky.
Finally get to use my survival proficiency. I wanted to scavenge foods for so long.
Oh my god. Okay.
And then entire 24 sessions. Or 22. I will ask Hogarth how the time works here. In this place.
How does the time work here?
And if it even gets dark. Because it doesn't know, really.
It does get dark. Okay, Hodart. It's a very complex system of cycles of nature, you know, death and rebirth. And each subsection has their own rules. What you know about this place, this barren rocky plains, is that they have very normal cycle compared to the mortal planes, but their nights get incredibly cold.
Well, hope you've all bundled up. As it's going to get a bit cold.
How much time did we have left until nightfall?
About
Asking Hogarth.
A few hours.
I might take a small trip to search for some edible foods for the night.
Just be careful out there. And if you become lost or anything, just be sure to signal me.
Yes, I can. I will create a wall of fire if I get lost.
so you're gonna try to harvest some wood
Yeah.
for a fire and some food, I guess.
Yeah, and just looking for anything.
Okay, roll me
food.
an investigation. Let's go.
Yeah, animals, insects, snails,
Yeah,
mushrooms.
yeah. Just
Bug soup.
bugs. Ugh.
That is Ara's speciality.
Bug soup?
Yeah, it's very nourishing.
Oh my god.
I never had the chance to cook much before. So do not know her quirks when cooking.
So wait.
Investigation is that.
Alright, yeah, investigation. Come on, let's go.
Can I use enhance ability or guidance?
Sure. You can use them both.
1d4. Okay. $20 at least.
Give me a second.
I have +3 to
So,
investigation.
making your way down, it's relatively easy to get down, and you look around it. You can hear crashing of stone in the vicinity as it echoes. Relatively easy. You can find by just the rocks where the path leads trampled is home to hundreds, if not thousands, of mushrooms. Consulting with Hodart, all of them are edible, but the problem is that all of them have different colorations. Like you have like stubby ones that are like few inches to like large, long ones that are like almost like a feet long. And from Holder's perspective, all of them are edible. As for firewood, you realize that these stubs, these grasses, are very hardy, and you realize that like where there's trampled, there's a lot of them who have been cut off, you could say, from basically their stems, and they seem to be very lightweight but also very sturdy. And when you bend them over, they kind of give this wooden crunch. And you amass quite a bit of these grass twigs, more than enough to make a fire. Yeah, you can roll me a performance check for your cooking.
Food, yay!
Food. Grizel, is there anything you want to do?
Mushroom soup.
No.
No.
Griselda is, huh?
Yeah. Where does Griselda? Let's go.
No, just sort of turn the hold off. Are you back in bird form? Or you still dragon?
I've reverted so that I could so I can start casting the Druid Grove.
Gotcha. So, how many gods are here? Because,
Quite a few.
Well, are we in the realm of the gods?
No.
Okay, so hold on, just to put in perspective, this is passive history. You don't know how many gods there are. You know that everybody in the Sealy core is technically a god, but how powerful each individual god differs. So your estimate is maybe from like a few dozen to a few hundreds. If you assume that what power you gain is considered godly power, then yeah, up to a few hundreds.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. A lot.
So there's a separate realm of gods. There isn't the gods realm. Oh, why are there so many?
To my understanding, the gods don't have a singular realm. More is that each plane of existence beyond the mortal plane is a domicile of gods depending on what they represent. Like I say, like the 9 hells as well as the abyss, those contain evil gods, that's for sure.
We say there's gods as far as the eye can see.
I mean, there's a few notable ones of great power and all that, but that's a very either. Those are both evil places, so that's where most of those gods are. Other than that, it all just depends on what their domain is and how that plays into society and interpreted.
Wait, so there's a place where there's actual evil gods?
Hypothetically, yes.
So what, the rest of them are just rude?
Well, you can mean with as much power as a god has, usually it takes a huge, and I do mean quite a substantial danger to that poses a threat to not just the material plane, but extends beyond that, is usually when they start getting more involved.
Why are they involved with me?
Shakes his head and is like, that I'm unsure of. Even I don't have the answer for that one. But you were spared being sacrificed, which means that there is a plan for you.
I don't want a plan for me. I don't want them thinking about me all the time. I want me out of their heads. I just want to live, man. I've been in wars.
I mean, you're living your life right now. And there's never not going to be a time when some force beyond your knowing is looking at you. That's just a fact. Everything's always going to influence you, both the good and the bad. The real question is which ones you decide to listen to.
Neither. I hate them all. I don't want no influence. I just want to do what I want, I guess. But I can't do that unless I'm strong enough to resist a fucking god. It's stupid. For freedom, I've got to have a stupid amount of power.
Which in that point makes you the very thing you wish to avoid being influenced by.
A scowl
And-
goes across her face.
And then once you get that power to resist the influence of gods, making you a god, what's to stop you from trying to influence those who do not have the will to be not influenced by gods?
Grits her
You
teeth.
will have that power to influence them once you get there.
I pray to no one, nor will I be prayed to.
Well, in order to get to that, you do need followers.
No, I do not.
Well, then you'll find that very difficult to get to that power you seek.
I don't care. I'm not after what every other god is after. I don't want to be like them. I want something that's me. 100% me. No followers, no fucking lackeys, no weird cryptic shit. No fucking bullshit quests I send people on. I'm not after being a god. I'm after the strength to resist a god. Nothing else.
I'll tell you this. I've read stories and books about people who've done that. And usually it doesn't turn out good. Usually they become influenced by the things that they wish to not be influenced by. So if anything makes you a deal about it, be very wary about that. Because it's basically the same thing that you are trying to avoid, just coated in different words.
I'm fine. I don't take no deals from no one, especially if they're talking as if they're more powerful than me. You should know this already.
I suppose that is true.
No one speaks down to me. Or if they do, they're going to get an earful. I don't do deals, I just do me. And I'll continue to do me till I get my freedom. Or I die trying, but obviously that's not an option.
Very interesting. You are a very fascinating individual. You know that.
No.
Ira walks up to both of you and hands you bowls of soup.
How's it smell?
Smells
Thank you.
relatively good, and smells also of Dale. Of Dill, I'm sorry. Dill.
Smells of Dale. Nice.
Sniff,
Why
sniff,
does
for
it?
a
Why
bit.
does it smell of my brother?
Oh,
Like
no.
legit.
Ira just hides a knife in the dead Alkin. It's like,
I'm talking
brother!
IRL. I'm talking IRL. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
You're at my
Uh,
place. Fuck.
Yeah,
Ira's
really.
at my house.
Yeah,
Help.
yeah.
Nice.
Ira's in the kitchen making something very nice from your brother.
it's
I
not
hope
Yeah.
not. He's married.
She made your
not
brother a snack.
cannibalism because none of us are human.
Yeah, she just made your brother a snack, that's all.
Well, I'm half human.
Oh my god.
Um,
Anyway,
yeah, I take the
But
soup
I
and I
d-
sort of... sorry, you go.
but if I might make a suggestion, I would. He, as he did warn you of not making us too much of a scene when we go to face the court. I do advise you, please, like I did with when we're talking to Denier, that you please be on your best behavior. The last thing we need is an all-out war of the Feywild caused by this. Because if that happens, who knows how that will affect the rest?
Look, man, I was biting my lip that whole conversation. You're... I'm sure you can appreciate my perspective. So please don't take offense to this, but from my perspective, your god is a bit of an asshole.
Well, I mean,
Dry smile.
And then she sort of like,
I guess that just comes with knowledge now, doesn't it?
I hope not.
What happens when you know everything?
Well,
No.
clearly he doesn't, but, you know. If he knew everything, he knew what to say not to get me pissed off. So it looks like he wants to get me pissed off. Maybe he knew that you would tell me that I'd try not to get pissed off, so he was trying to piss me off. That motherfucker! Then they get the soup and they try and drink. Is it just mushrooms or are there bug bits in there?
Oh my god.
They're not visible bug bits.
Yeah.
Are they? Am I just gonna get like a grasshopper leg in my mouth?
Griselda is a slightly different color than the others, but nothing else.
She drinks it, sort of. Almost like a very plain look on her face. Almost free already. Sorry, Aura. It just,
No, I do as well.
Ah. So, can I? Is anybody
No,
gonna
you're
take?
not. You're not the DM anymore.
What?
We have hijacked your game. Kidding.
It's a campfire story now.
Okay. Okay. So question: Are you gonna take Are you gonna guard yourself? Are you gonna take, I guess, guard duty, or are you gonna just have a nice bug-free soup of mushrooms and go to bed?
Mostly bug free.
They don't need to know that. Mostly.
Strange crunch to it. Griselda's gonna take first watch.
Yeah. We only need to
Sure.
sleep for 6 hours and then 2 hours watch each.
Yeah.
2 hours, 2 hours, and 2 hours, which becomes an 8-hour sleep, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, Griselda's taking first watch.
Okay, roll a perception check.
Awesome. Oop, I'm on the wrong chat. There we go. D20 plus 11. 22.
Ooh. So,
And the 2.
So. I'm guessing you're just gonna be on the rock, on the nice comforter of safety, or you're gonna go below and just look around.
I'm gonna be on the rock, sort of, cross-legged, with their blades sort of stabbed into the stone, looking outwards, see if she can see anything.
Okay. So, every once in a while, you just hear winds howling below you, and then you realize that there's rolling stones, just kind of rolling
What,
on
the
their own.
band?
No, you wish. You wish. No, a bunch of stones or pebbles, from literally pebbles to something the size of your head, just starts to casually roll down through the paths that have been made in the tall grass, kind of completely disregarding you. Besides that, nothing of unusual, just, wind carries stones for some reason. But yeah.
What the fuck is up with gravity here? Rocks rolling uphill? Yeah, she's not gonna. Yeah, if they're not bothering them, then she's not gonna go investigating. She's fine without that.
Okay. So, who are you gonna wake up next?
Me.
Darth.
Wow. Rude.
That's actually good.
Oh, now it's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was reverse psychology.
Okay. Holder, you're waking up. It's relatively.
What part? From what angle are you waking me up from?
What do you mean, what angle?
From underneath.
Underneath, behind, to the side, in front of.
Are you in the tree currently?
Is there a tree?
No.
Oh, so you're just laying down somewhere.
Didn't you make trees if trees grow?
Let's say
Yeah.
I perched up on the rock.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're perched up on the rock, she just kind of walks up, gets like a handful of dirt, and just tosses it in your general direction. Wakey, wakey.
Suddenly, in one fluid motion, you see the head just turn to wherever direction is, eyes wide open. It's like, oh,
Oh. What the fuck, man?
oh, is it my turn?
Yeah. Is your neck okay?
Yeah, I can do it. I do this.
You do this? You don't do this very often, it seems.
Oh, it's just a little fun I like to have once in a while.
Or can you not have
It
it
really
now?
creeps out the non-Alkin.
Oh, I wonder why.
Okay.
Get your freaky ass on patrol.
All right, I'll take the next watch then.
Okay. So, perception, if you will, my good sir. Right?
Correct.
One does need to make perception checks for the.
Mhm.
Okay. Relatively peaceful. Occasionally you see just boulders just fucking make, like, we're not talking like elementals, literal just like in the Wild West there's the gimmick of like bushes just going. You just see massive boulders.
Like tumbleweeds?
Yeah, tumbleweeds. In this case, you just see fucking stones, like small pebbles, large stones. So you spot even one that is like almost like half your body size, like 3 feet tall, just rolling, just nonchalantly. About an hour and a half into your ship, you hear a very distant sound of bashing, as if a stone versus a stone is getting bashed somewhere. Seems to the south, from kind of the direction where you're gonna need to go. Like this, every few seconds you hear a loud thud and another thud, stone hitting stone.
Do I see anything that way?
Uh,
Besides that?
are you gonna try to look for the sound, or are you gonna just, because you just hear thud sounds like someone's.
I'm trying to pinpoint where the sound is coming from and see if I see anything in that direction.
No, you don't. You just hear thuds. You don't see anything. It's somewhere far away. So it's either something is very large hitting something else are large and it just echoes, or it's somewhere in a place you can't really see. You just hear this echo of just thuds of stone.
I'm going to keep watching my normal watch, but every little bit keep turning towards the where the noise is coming from to see if anything comes from.
About 10 minutes later, in the general direction, you just see a boulder getting chucked in the air. And it doesn't like go anywhere in the specific direction towards you or anything. It goes like you predict maybe like 200, 300 feet, and then just lands seemingly close by, and you just hear one final thud sound and nothing else.
Huh. Interesting. He goes like, oh, oh, well. Would he have any idea what this might be?
Roll me a nature check. Roll me a nature.
Oh, okay. Guidance as well.
12?
Yeah.
Uh,
The 6 plus the 2 plus 8. And then
you
4.
have you do know that the elementals of this place usually just fight. Everybody fights each other here, so you assume that there's probably just two massive elementals just duking it out in the distance. But something specific about it, or what's the purpose? You have no fucking clue.
Well, I think one of them won. Possibly. Anyways, and he's gonna go back to his watching. On slightly bit higher alert
Yep.
than usual.
Yeah, a few minutes past the technical 2 hour mark is hit. What would you like to do? You gonna wake up Ira, or you gonna be like, nah?
Does Ira want to be woken up?
I
Yeah,
don't know. You wanna wake her up and ask if she wants to wake up?
You still have 2 hours you need to sleep to get full
I
rest.
still do, yeah. I do, so I will do that. I will wake Ira up.
Yeah.
It's like, don't mean to bother, but it is your turn.
Just stretches and yawns. Yeah, keep watch. Have a great sleep.
All right. Flies
then-
back up to the top of the rock and just perches again.
And then Ira will go to find a good place to sit that is decently comfortable.
Okay.
And have a look around the area. And as she does, she sits her instance burner in her lap and sings to it throughout these 2 hours. When she keeps keeping watch.
Roll me a perception check.
And I will cast Enhance Ability on myself. Extended to 2 hours. Perception. 220 plus 3 plus 11. Yep. That is 8 plus 11, 19.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. You, my good sir, have a wonderful first hour or so. And then all of a sudden, you see a massive creature to the south just flying. One made of stone, with eyes glinting in dark brown, with its like iris seem to glow like dimish yellow, and it kind of flies towards you, looking at you, and then takes like nearest stone that is also high up, about, you would say, 300 feet away from you, and just kind of lands. You see that this rock is made purely out of stone, and it's just looking at you. Does not say anything, does not flinch, or you do not hear any other movements. Just kind of observes you. Ira, what would you like to do?
As long as it observes, she will do nothing, but she will. Let's see. I can echo spell animate objects. No, I can't. No, because that is an overt action that will might be noticed. Yeah, she will just be prepared to subtly cast animate objects to just make things make noise around her to wake up the others,
Okay.
like rattling kitchen utensils and making stones roll and.
Okay. So
She,
it seems to be eyeing you and the rest of the group, kind of looking at all of you.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Ira looks at it back, stares at it intently. She stopped singing at this point.
Kind of cocks its eye left in. It kind of looks around as if like looking at surroundings. That kind of takes flight. Takes about like 30, 40 feet from the rock, and slowly starts to glide to, I guess, as you're looking at to your left, and it's kind of flying kind of close to you, like 80 feet away from you, and about 40 feet above you, and just kind of eyes the entire rock that you're in, and just kind of circles it, and then lands in the same spot where it originally like taken before, 300 feet away.
300 feet. Ira will wake up the party if they enters more than like 100 or 50 feet.
As in if it gets closer to that?
Yeah, if it gets close to the like 75 feet
Ooh,
from a party.
The rock is massive and it's made of stone. You can see as it like the heavy. How to say this? It sounds like folding stone as you hear cracks of it as it like flies, and you feel tiny little pebbles just kind of hitting the stone. I guess the place that you're sitting on it, including you a bit, as it just kind of surveys you. Sometimes it looks that it's like closer than you think, but it does not like. It doesn't seem to show any aggression. It just spectates you, observes you.
And the business stares back.
Yeah, and eventually the rock takes the same position as it did originally, 300 feet away from you, just kind of observing you.
I was starting to find this quite interesting. She is very focused on this creature, but she still takes like a few glances around to see so that nothing else is creeping up on the party.
Oh. Nothing that you notice, but it's just kind of staring at you. And if you do not interact in any way with it, 2 hours pass. The rock is still observing you, but does not say anything.
And without moving, she will animate a few tiny objects, like a few stones, like some stone, like lying underneath Griselda, just moving it around, making them wake up. Like making the, let's say, kitchen utensils heat itself to make noise.
I'm up. I'm up. Uh,
Without looking at you, she will say, "Good morning."
Good morning.
Yeah.
Wraps her eyes.
Yeah, Griselda, you just kind of like you see Iris like good morning, and you see in the background just a giant bird creature far away, just glaring at both of you.
Oh, hello, Mr. Bird. Wait a minute. Ira, is that yours?
No.
So, and it's definitely not me.
It's been friendly so far, at least.
Friendly? How has it been friendly exactly?
I suppose that we're still here with no cuts or bruises or without being attacked, friendly.
That's not friendly, that's planning.
Griselda, I'm not planning to do anything for you.
No, I mean, it's planning.
She rolls her head at the hypocrisy.
Yeah. So
It looks over
Well,
at
as long
Harold.
as it's there, and
Can you
my
can you speak Rockbird?
Rockbird, let's go.
No,
I mean, I
but
have ways to do so.
Horath might be able to.
Yeah, could you figure out whether it's hungry or just curious? Because I'm down for a fight, but I've only just woken up, so I at least want to get like situated beforehand.
In a minute, it doesn't seem to be any sort of danger to us right now. Maybe in a little bit after food, if it's still there, I'll talk to it.
Yeah.
Still have a few mushrooms left over from yesterday.
Yeah. So it takes a good like 20 or so minutes, and somewhere around this point, the sun slowly starts to seep back in. And Hodart, you have a realization of some sort. You got two choices on your track ahead. One is one is because to go to the Sealy Court is pretty simple with flight, but there are also places where one should not fret and prepare from. So, one of these places is called the Mistlands, where the dead and the condemned of the Feywild reside. Basically, undead echoes of past selves fighting eternally, and it's a place of undeath and death in the Feywild. And it's kind of neighboring with this, I guess, place. And flying through there would be a lot faster to the Unseelie Court. But it would also be a lot more dangerous. But then, of course, you got the Blue Azure Heights, which is a blue tinge forest where most, you could say, civilized part in mortal terms reside, where you can find actual settlements that are inhabited by creatures other than the Fae, where actual roads that are not just random forest paths are made, and relatively peaceful, but also would take quite a lot longer to traverse, even in flight.
I am going to divulge this information with both Grizz and Ira.
I mean, why is this a question? We want speed, right?
Did we have a time limit?
Well, it wasn't per se time limit. It was more the quicker the better.
All right,
But
you've answered
it
your
just so
question.
happens that the quicker seems to be is a bit more dangerous than the safer.
Okay, that's usually how it is. Come on, we'll be fine. You turned into a whole ass dragon. You're worried about safety.
Roll me a history check about the Mistlands.
Who?
No, for Hodart. Let's see
I
if we can
probably didn't know anything
let's see if you can remember why it's so dangerous.
Undead. Done.
Oh, look at that.
34.
So, the Mistlands is an endless battleground in the Feywild where the damned go. And the most obvious theory is that the whole thing of the Mistlands is essentially produced by the Unseelie Corps, inciting an invasion into the Feywilds and essentially taking it over for themselves. And what's the best starting point if not in a place where, when you perish, you will be reborn in a matter of minutes, if not quicker. And it holds not just basic skeletons and undead; it holds all kinds of creatures, powerful creatures, including dragons.
Yeah, I won't be. And after explaining, it's like, you see, I won't be the biggest thing there.
Oh. Well, that's never been a problem before.
I'd rather not risk it, to be completely honest.
Okay, so what, one vote for risk, one vote for not. What say you, Ira?
Oh yeah, also Ira, at this point, it's been like good like hour and 40 minutes since you spotted the rock, and Rock is just chilling now, just watching you as the sun slowly rises from the east.
I'm personally more interested in the safe route.
Fine. Two for safe.
I believe the worst thing that could happen is if this Unseelie court got notice of our mission.
Well, the worst thing that could happen is you run out of time.
Well, they don't know that we're coming here to expose them. And as to be done, we should probably not talk about this sort of subject out in the open.
And by the way, I heard that would you be able to talk with this creature? And she's still looking at the bird.
Ah, yes, I did say that after breakfast, now didn't I? Alright,
Yeah.
it's gonna give me a little bit, but we'll do that. Ritual, give me about 10 minutes and I'll be able to speak to it. I'm gonna ritual cast Speak with Animals.
Okay. It keeps attention on Ira for a few months, but as soon as you start to cast your ritual, the gaze is at you, Hodart. As 10 minutes pass, if nobody else has anything they want to do, the spell is complete.
Yeah, I was just cleaning up the supplies.
True.
Just so. Hello there!
Greetings.
Ira over here was telling me that you've been keeping a nice, steady eye on us.
Indeed.
Is there any particular reason?
Yes.
And what might that be?
Will not tell.
Is it a secret mission then? Are you on a mission?
You can see the rock kind of looks a bit. It kind of almost leans in towards you. It's like 300 feet away from you or so, and it kind of stretches out its wings and kind of gives like a soft flap and kind of recomposes itself. Yes.
Can you tell me who sent you?
No.
Interesting.
What's the rock saying?
He's here to keep an eye on us, but he won't tell us why or who sent them.
Keep an eye on us? So
He
it's
shrugs.
spies.
It's like, it's what the rock said. Yeah,
Will it be following us?
that's a good question. Will you be following us on our journey?
For a time.
This is the worst spy rock I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, as long as it doesn't mean us any harm, I don't see reason to
Well, that
oppose.
depends on who's watching us.
He's like, you wouldn't happen to know a safe route through, what was this? The Mire, whatever place?
The Mistlands.
The Mistlands, where we
No.
can. No.
It immediately just says no.
Okay. Well, I guess we're taking the long way then. As
Am I the only one that's weirded out by the thing that wants to follow us, that has no allegiance to anything that we know?
well, it's business if it wants to divulge all the information or not. We just gotta be careful of what we say around.
You guys are fucking weird.
The Feywild is a very different place. Cannot really tell what is normal and what is not.
I can just see what we did to spies.
And I'll
Let
tell you
them
this:
wander
being a
around
druid does have its
following us.
advantages.
What? Being a spy?
You started
Are
to
you a
get the,
spy?
I mean,
Huh?
you say these words, but there's no response.
or who are you talking to?
Hold
I
on.
have a question for you. You gotta ask me so I can ask it.
No, that's a question for you. Are you a spy?
No?
That's what a spy would say.
Griselda. I think we've known each other long enough.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of a spy, isn't it? Actually, Ira, that's exactly what a spy would say as well.
Anyways, if we're done, we can start taking flight.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go into my normal giant owl form this time. It's like, well, the dragon was fun, but now we just got to do the normal. And it turns out I do have 8 hours per wild shape, by the way.
Oh shit.
Half your level, right?
Yep, half my level, and I'm 17.
It was equal to your level.
I think third edition was hours equal to your level.
It's half the level.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right, and it's like right before he does it, it's like, well, looks like we're going the safe way, unless anybody else has a change of heart.
I mean, you know my opinion, but safe way it is.
okay, so a D10, if you will, and perception checks.
And now it's your turn. Can
Oh. Last time I rolled d10s, I got a world snake and island full of vampires. So let's see what we get
You
here.
roll me make my day. Roll me a 10.
The sun turns crimson.
The sun turns crimson. Oh, relatively peaceful. Occasionally, a sharp wind to the left or to the right just kind of tosses you off course a bit, but it's nothing too bad. Then about 3 hours pass, and you can see in the distance, like we're talking at the very edge of the horizon, familiar trees, blue tinged, you're arriving at the Blue Azure Peaks, or at least the bordering place of it. As for the rock, it seems to be following you about like a half a mile away or so. Occasionally flying a few dozen feet above you, sometimes below. Always eyes on the giant owl. So yeah, 3 hours have passed, 3 charges have expended. Anything else you like to do, or at all, or you continue on?
Mm.
Hmm.
No, I don't have anything.
Continue unless anybody else has any objection.
I think continue is
I
good.
have no objections.
Cool.
By the way,
So-
I'm using my wild shape, but not polymorph. If that's what you're saying.
No. It's just charges of all shape.
I only have the two, but each one lasts 8 hours.
Oh, 8 hours. Okay, gotcha. Then it's fine. You're still flying. I'm sorry. I just kind of forgot how wild shape works.
All good.
Yeah. So roll me another d10, and
My turn. No,
yeah.
it's Griselda's turn again.
So how it all goes for a good 40 minutes or so, still flying, and you can see that the lands intermingle between the previous land, the deep peaks, and now the Blue Azure Peaks just kind of mix and mingle. And about 45 minutes, you kind of go into, I guess, the full territory, this bluish, very nice forest. You, Ira, and Griselda immediately spot large amounts of moths by the tree lines and butterflies. Like, we're talking in the dozens or thousands that seem to be a few inches tall or wide, but you can see clear that there's a lot of them in the tree lines that are maybe 40-50 feet tall and not as massive as you've been by the library. But as soon as you cross the Azure into the Azure Peaks, you see that the rock kind of follows you up almost to the border of its domain, and kind of flies looking up at you, and eventually just turns immediate 180 and just flies away. Oh my god. You rolled me a 10, did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was
Oh.
shackling about that one.
Question for Hodar before I say what the potential outcome might be. Are you flying low or high?
Low.
Low.
Yeah, no matter where you're flying, that's a 10, my boy.
Okay. I would like you to roll me 2 dexterity saving throws. Hodart. Hodar, my boy, dex saves. That's
I'll
what
get there, yes. Give me a sec.
On a scale of 1 to fuck, how fucked are we?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, God. Okay, Oh, okay. All of a sudden,
I
like
think
good
it's pretty
good
fucked.
an hour and 30 after you go to these peaks, you start to see what seem to be vague representations of roads, of like actual dirt pathways that are covered in grass and moss that are like 40-50 feet wide and seem to just stretch in a specific direction. It seems like almost like a mortal plain forest type of deal, except for the colorations. You can see a bunch of heavily bluishly tinged animals, elks, squirrels, owls that are all this has this tinge, and they have these very bright, almost diamond colored eyes wherever they stare. And it's all fascinating. Until all of a sudden you just hear a sudden crack as if an explosion somewhere below. And although you just look at the source of explosion and you see a massive white net just going at you. With a very
Massive
swift,
what?
a very massive net, fully open, just going at Hodor's location. Hodor instinctually just fucking goes to the left and just dodges the entire net entirely. But all of a sudden he hears another crack. And another net shoots out from below. This time, kinda just grabbing the entire owl beast and wrapping itself, and you're all now covered in netting. And all of a sudden you just hear this pulsating sound of a buzzing in the net as you're now forcefully getting dragged. And you just hear...
We're not
No,
following.
no,
we're
no.
being dragged.
No, you're not falling. You for a split second you fall, like you lost the grip and you started to fall. But as soon as the net fully wrapped, all of a sudden you hear a buzzing sound, and all of a sudden you just feel like you're slowly getting tugged to the ground. And you hear a got one, got one.
As on our descent, I drop my wild shape. Instinctively, it's like,
Wait, does it
Now
just
this
get
is
him?
gonna-
Are we free falling?
and then I look. No,
No, we are captured in the net. All of
Yeah,
us.
you were all on top of
So
me.
Three
so
of us.
as
That's like- oh, this is a nice development. This will be interesting.
Okay, so yeah, you manifest back to Hodard, and you're now all just kind of in this net, and you're just getting pulled. A good half a minute later, you just see two Goliaths, very heavily armored. It seems to be in some sort of mithril armor, adorning golden weapons. And you see this dwarf that seems to have like a massive scar that seems to go all across his face from like his chin to the back, as he seems to be lost another one eye and replaced with an eye patch, and he seems to be pulling you with some sort of magical rope that only seems to be visible when he actually puts force to actually pull you in, as he cackles maniacally, but then just kind of squints at you as he is dragging closer. He's like, "What the shit?"
I like gives me
He kind of
glare.
spits on the ground. "Oh, you fucking druids and your magics!" Bah! Yeah, I mean, he kind of looks disappointed, and then he kind of eyes his hand and kind of gives this like wobbling sensation with his fingers, and all of a sudden the net just slowly unravels, and you kind of let loose, and about 30 feet above, like in front of this, but above, slowly just levitating to the ground, as the man seems to be disappointed as he seems to getting his net together and just seems to fill with these metal tubes, as he murmurs to himself and occasionally just stomps his feet in frustration. Two Goliaths do not react to you, but they seem to be on alert.
I let out a. Sorry. Probably should have warned you or flown higher.
Mm-mm-mm.
The fuck are these? Poachers?
No, bounty hunters. As he kind of tugs the net back into one of the metal tubes, and he kind of almost punches it and kind of flinches out of the pain. Swears a bit and then looks at you, Griselda, as he seems to have produce some sort of parchment in his hand. We're looking for a specific little dragon. A tiny one, but very valuable. One of the Shadowfell, they say. As he kind of like, almost like throws a piece of paper towards you. And you can see that it... does anybody... Oh yeah, elves, yeah. Ira, you can read this, right? Because you know Elvish.
Yep.
Okay. It reads that there's a bounty for 82,000 gold pieces for some sort of shadow dragon, and it's in quotation marks, that has been terrorizing the local roads. Information would be rewarded for the actual valuable information was reported a quarter of the bounty. For the dragon is 82, and for any leads to any other of these dragons or its eggs would be negotiable for more.
The more I read this, the more you just like poachers.
The more you read, the more you like poachers.
No, the more I read this, the more they just seem like poachers.
Okay. Good thing you can't read Elvish, don't you?
Oh wait. Oh fuck. Okay. Never mind. He looks at it for a bit and goes,
Ira, do
"Yes."
you want to ask them questions or should I?
Oh boy, that's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not.
Isn't the Shadowfell a different plane? I will ask.
Yeah, it is, but how it got here, I fucking have no clue. Don't ask. All I saw is money, and I have the equipment to get what I want. As he kind of taps the thing proudly, like the metal tubes, and all of a sudden one of them just misfires and spits out the netting on the ground, and then he kicks the fucking pipe in frustration.
Premature netting.
Oh god. Oh no, I'm netting.
Happens to the best of us.
True.
And I will point at Hogarth. And he looks like a shadow dragon.
Well, honestly, maybe not. But everybody's here so fucking blue. Seeing anything that is not blue is kind of, shoot first, ask questions later.
So you're blind. He's
Well,
what I'm hearing.
To keep in mind.
He kind of points at one of his eye patches.
Okay, you got another one.
Let's see.
Is Ira gonna be like, you know what? Regeneration.
No, I was just wondering if I could use prestidigitation to change the color of my clothes to blue.
Oh, yeah, you can easily.
Because it might be better to fit in.
Oh,
So
I mean, if
should I-
that's the case. Well, it was nice knowing you, talking to you guys. If we catch wind of any leads on this dragon you're hunting, we know where to find you.
Are you heading to the Blue Spire? Where are you heading?
We're heading beyond. We're heading more specifically to the court, the Sealy court.
Well, he kind of takes almost like a deep bow and kind of gives like a very gracefully, just kind of not like for a first moment you thought it's like almost like mocking, but he kind of seems to take a very deep bow. Says, "Well, I'm sorry, I did not know. Well, please proceed."
He puts up his head, saying, "It's fine. This is kind of more of a rushed action."
You know the Blue Spire, Hodar, as like one of the biggest hubs, civilized, like actual, like you could say almost like a city, right? About 40-something thousand people, mostly inhabited by satyrs, treants, and dryads, but also elves, humans, and the like. It's relatively peaceful. The only one thing that you cannot do there is metallurgy for some reason. So yeah. So
Freeze and or Rog's nightmare.
True.
I mean, if we have a little bit of time, there is a particular item that I would like to search for.
We might be able to return after our mission.
Okay.
Because we are taking the slow route. It's probably best
Fair enough.
to leave other missions for afterwards.
All right.
So, with that being said,
I'm going to wild shape into my giant owl form, but he's going to have a blue tint to him now.
cool. So,
And I'm also going to color. I will ask Griselda, would you like to wear blue clothing?
I mean, I don't really care. You can make me blue if you want.
You are not blue. Either makes you blue.
Like my clothing, or just makes her blue.
Ba-ba-dee-da-ba-die.
Your clothing, I can't make
no,
living things blue.
no.
She's a blork.
Look.
This is a
Okay.
little orc that lives in
So-
the blue world.
Okay, so with that being said and done, I would like you to roll me a d10 as you're proceeding to go through.
DM doesn't know this trick. No.
D10, if you will, as you're
It's my
flying.
turn.
Let's go,
Should we-
Ira.
Should we get another 10? What are your thoughts?
Oh god. Jimmy.
I'd rather not.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Relatively peaceful. You fly for about 3 hours, and the only thing that seemed to be very, interesting is because you're going southbound. At least Hodard is going. So to your right, about an hour in, you kind of came across this mountain that is like maybe 300, 400 feet, not too wide. It seems to be house some sort of an obelisk or a ritual site on top of it. Hodart, with your history, you know that this is one of the obelisks of the night. It is less like an active temple or shrine. It's more like a pilgrimage site for those of the Feywild who seek to obtain a blessing of a specific aspect of the Feywilds, and this one is essentially for the night. And essentially, it can mean a lot of things, and it's up to most people's interpretations what they seek from the night. But yeah, 3 hours pass, nothing. It's kind of just occasionally you see paths that kind of go to the left and to the right. Occasionally you see humanoids and creatures of the Feywild wander the road, kind of minding their own business, you flying past them. Is there anything besides you want to do before I ask you to roll another d10?
One thing that might be interesting, are there like small settlements or houses that we fly over?
Roll me a perception check on that.
Because we might have to barter for some food.
Oh. Nope. You
Nope.
seen some structures, as in occasional just a post, like almost like a lamp post, but instead of like fire, it seems to have like some sort of wisp in it that is just glowing into its daytime.
Poor Tinkerbell.
And use the wish spell to make some food.
Oh my god. Oh, we're spelled to make food. Wow. No. But yeah, good hours pass by, and for Holder specifically, you come to this realization. You're going south. You need to go southeast. Well, not like southeast, south to southeast. But you know, if you go to the southwest for about 2 or 3 hours, you don't remember specifically, you could reach the Blue Spire, the Azure Spire, the biggest settlement in the Feywilds.
So during our travels, he would have, when he's resting, like the latest short rest,
Mm-hmm.
he would have divulged that information
Cool.
and see what they thought.
Additionally, Hodart, there's also people in that, and there's of course many of services you might acquire, same as in any city. Technically, like this is your passive insight just speaking. Technically, you could probably get someone who could teleport you closer if you find the right person in the city.
How many days would that save on our journey?
Hold a roll me intelligence check. Oh shit, okay. You reckon you're maybe 1/3, somewhere 1/3 actually done with the journey? Because you're taking the long way around. I mean, it would be a minor detour, but it wouldn't have to be super bad. Not to mention,
But if we were to get teleported there, it would
a lot of
potentially
time.
save
Yes.
a lot of time. Going to run that by them.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at.
So,
Well, I guess teleportation would be easier.
True. Plus, it would also be. We could also see if I can't find that item I'm looking for too.
And it is also nearing rest time because we have been flying for about 6 hours this day.
True.
So you might rest and sleep in that city.
Probably be the best bet then. I guess we're heading to the spire.
And we might find some really unique magical items as well.
okay.
Hopefully.
So with that, I would like you to roll me one last d10.
Who's rolling?
Roll.
Buddha. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. So about 2 hours in, from the very edge of the horizon, the way you're going, a bit to the right, if you will, you all start to see a massive spire, a needle in the sky. It seems to go from the very, like, from the ground to as much as you can see. Holdart, you know that is the spire. That is where the city is, because the spire is in the center of the city. It's its main centerpiece. But as you're going minute by minute closer and closer, you I would say roll me perception check, everybody.
Oh,
Natural
bullshit.
20.
Ira, you all of a sudden just see a massive, like, you see the roads, right? And it's like, you can see there's quite a few roads, because before, you maybe every 30-40 minutes you see just a road, that leads go somewhere. Now every few minutes you just see a road, which is a lot more frequent. And as you kind of like observe this fire, in the corner of your eye, to your left, somewhere a few hundred feet away below on the ground, on the road, you see a massive, what seems to be a giant on its back. His hand is reaching towards the sky as it seems to clutching a major slash across its chest. And with that high enough perception, you can see that the wound is still bleeding and the hand is trembling. Save for you, Hodar, you spot the same thing.
Yeah, I run, kind of nudges Hodor to fly there with the giant.
There's some hesitation he's going to. Is there anybody, anything, anyone around the giant that would make it look like...
The giant seems to be maybe 15, 16 feet tall. It does not seem to be like any specific, I guess, not a molten giant. Maybe a very nice, well, not very nice. You don't even know what a giant, but it's not like a molten giant or an ice giant, because they don't have the characteristics. But it seems like he's just plopped on the road, bleeding out this bluish, like dark bluish blood as it's reaching towards the sky. You see nothing around it, nor do you see any footprints or markings of someone leaving the place.
And he's alive.
Yeah, you can see with the 31, you can see that the hand that is reaching out to the sky is trembling, and you see the pool of blood is like expanding.
Then he gets the heal spell, spam, for 70 HP as we fly closer.
I fucking imagine you see a wound, you just fucking dimension door heal.
Yeah, I can do that in one turn.
Yeah. But yeah, you kind of go to it, and you can see the hand just kind of collapses as you start to cast heal, and you see the wound slowly starts to close, and you see this. I don't even know how to describe this. It's like a Goliath. Like it's a mixture between a giant or a Goliath, a very tall Goliath, if you will. His eyes are bright blue, but now seem some of its life has escaped. He seems to have shallow breathing, but is still alive. And you see he is wearing relatively fine clothes, and not for the blue blood that is basically spilled all over. And you see that his skin is also blue. Yeah, he seems to be alive, but in very bad condition. The bleeding subsided.
Yeah, this spell has a 30 feet range, so we pretty close to the ground. And as we go closer, she will, like 5 feet off the ground, jump off Hodor's back.
So you're all landing then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, Grizel, you just see just a giant Goliath that is like one hand just kind of to his side that was reaching out to the sky, while the other was trying to clutch the wound that is now closed. Yeah. Eyes.
Fuck him up.
Eyes are open. But he seems to not able to focus on any of you, as he seems to be still looking at the sky.
I will walk up to him and say, "You will be fine now. We are here to help."
Yeah?
Its
Just,
its eyes kind of slowly dart towards you, Ira, and you can
Yeah.
see. Roll me a medical check.
Finally,
Man, finally.
I have waited for this day.
Oh
I had-
yeah, maybe that's what it's for. That's all about. Woo.
Kind of glad I didn't say anything about not healing it. Make Ira happy.
Oh god.
I should have.
You can see the man is on the brink of passing out because his eyes start to dart around and basically lose himself. He tries to mumble something, uh, like exhaling some air, but then he just kind of closes his eyes and just kind of goes limp. He's still
Yeah.
breathing, but he just passes out.
Yeah, as does that, I just says, uh, "It will be fine. We will take care of you." As he passes out, and then she will immediately, with a much higher authority in her voice, tell Griselda, "Griselda, can you fetch me some cloth?"
What? I mean, sure, but
Hogarth, could you make some water or find some water for us?
Sure.
I don't think
Okay, just
the water we carry on us will be enough.
I would like you to, those who care, roll me investigation check, because this is gonna be a final thing, because I gotta go for like 30 minutes. So, one final check to check them all.
I can give enhance ability to whoever wants that.
Yeah.
I give it to Hogarth. You have advanced enhance ability. You have advantage.
First off, what's
With intelligence.
mhm.
Okay.
This is from guidance.
So, to just passive investigation as you roll. This is a very finely dressed man. You see that his robes were also bluish, but now it's a lot more messed up. He seems to not have any weapons, and he seems to be not armored besides this thing. And the only piece of like metallic, I guess, is on his right shoulder. There is just a shoulder pad that seems to like have this cloak that goes like a good 10 feet down, and relatively, cool. Are you gonna roll a investigation or no?
Investigation. I don't think there's much point, but I will do so.
You never know. Okay, so Holdar, Griselda, and Ara, you basically kind of, yeah. So you just kind of, tend to the man who just passed out, and you kind of just, inspect and just try to figure out what the fuck happened to him. It seems that he's been struck by a weapon, a single strike across from lower left to upper right through the chest. The wound does not seem to be very deep, but it seems to just, by the amount of blood, just went in, like, something just hit with this blow that it just knocked the dude almost to the death. He does not have any he does not have any belongings on him besides his clothing. But Holdar, on the shoulder pad, there is a symbol. Give me a second. On the shoulder, there is a symbol of Sealy Court with two, you could say, like two additional, like, explain this properly. In the Sealy Court, there is a symbol of of a flower, a single, you could say almost like a tulip that is sprouting. And the more from below to from the lowest to the sides and to basically to the very top, the rank into the court is shown by the amount of roots they have that are in gilded in jade or gold. It's dependent on the person which one it wants. And this individual on his shoulder pad, his insignia identifies that he is quite well ranked in the court, seeing that he is almost like halfway, the roots are halfway filled from the bottom to the middle, all around the tulip.
It had two
Wow.
roots.
Yeah, it's like the more
Yeah.
roots you have around, like from bottom to, I guess, around the whole insignia, the more variegated or more influential you are, and he's like halfway through there. So he's relatively high ranking. Hodart, you do not know who this is, because the court is massive. Not to mention major players you know, but like how many of lesser beings? How many is it? Yeah, you don't really know who it is, but just it is relatively high ranking.
Might say, well, your need to heal everybody certainly will have its use this day.
As I'm saying it to Ira.
Yeah.
What we have is somebody who really needed it.
So, with
Who
that,
he is doesn't matter, really, when it comes to healing.
so with that, 3 hours has passed and I need to really go. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of it. As you
Just have
did.
to bleed.
So, yeah. I'm gonna shut the stream down in 20 seconds. You got anything to say before I'm shutting it? Let's go.
Yeah.
Got quite a bit done.
After it's kind of cleaning him his clothes. Let's see, looking at the wound, she will sit by his head, like a bucket of water beside her, and like wait for him to wake up.
Your bets now, guys. Which session is Griselda gonna die?
Yesterday's session.